Finally, I want to show you the proof that this statistic does indeed distributes beta. So the idea here is that if the points are scattered in space uniformly, we expect that in each region, the number of points will distribute Poisson with a mean proportional to the area or the volume or the hypervolume of the region. So if we'll denote by x the number of points in a region, x distribute Poisson with some mean. If the region is a circle, for example, in 2D, then mu is proportional to the surface or the area of this circle, which is pi r squared. So let's say that it's some factor times this, and now we'll just absorb these two constants, the pi and this factor, into a single factor. We don't care about it so much because it's a constant. And in case we have a ring, so an outer circle and an inner circle, the area is just this thing. So the area of the outer circle minus the area of the inner circle. We can do the same trick again with the lambda dash and unite it with the pi to get this. Now, the probability of the closest point being in a certain ring is equal to the product of two probabilities. The first is the probability that there are no points in the inner circle. Okay, so we said that this probability is Poisson distributed. So the probability that x1 is equal to 0 is just equal to this. And we said mu is equal to this, so we get this thing over here, times the probability that there are points in the ring. So this is the probability that in the second region, there are points. It's not equal to 0. This is 1 minus the probability that it's equal to 0. This is 1 minus this thing over here. And now the probability of the closest point being in a certain ring is equal to the product of this times this. And I rewrote this as this. And now we are going to take R1 to be closer and closer to R2. We will denote them by R. So basically making the ring infinitesimally small. And we will denote by R2 minus R1 the dr, the difference in the radius. And if we do this, we get this expression over here. And now notice that because dr is becoming really small, this thing, so 1 minus e to the power of minus x is almost identical to x when x is very small. So we get this thing over here. And so notice that this is a function of r. Okay, so this tells us the probability of the nearest point being in a distance of r from the point that we are at. Now we are going to do a variable change. We will denote by z lambda times r squared, and then dz is equal to this. And then what we get is that actually z distributes exponentially with parameter 1. So if z distributes exponentially, a sum of independently chosen z's will distribute gamma with the number of points that we sum as the alpha parameter and as 1, or the parameter of the z's, as the beta parameter. So this will be our u. But the idea here that under the null assumption, if we chose a point at random to be the center, we expect the result to be distributed the same way as if we had adopted a slightly different procedure and had chosen one of the particles at random. So this also justifies why the w will also distribute the same. And then if you have two variables that distributes gamma, then 1 divided by the sum of the one with the second distributes beta with these parameters. Here, since the parameters are equal, we get the same thing. So this explains why the Hopkins statistics, which is this, distributes beta. Notice just a slight nitpicking. What we are calculating in the Hopkins statistics is just the r squared. It's just the distance squared. We don't have this lambda parameter. So in reality, when we calculate u, it distributes 1 over lambda, this thing, and the same for w, but this is a common factor and it will cancel out here in the beta. And so in the end, the Hopkins statistics that we calculate does indeed, under the null assumption, should distribute beta. Okay, this is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.